All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well this morning. So I got some updates for you today. I was reading something pretty interesting in the Chicago Tribune a couple days ago about how in 2018, a guy named Anis Tungekar, who was a Pakistani immigrant, just sounds like a good guy, family man, worked insane amount of hours driving a cab in Chicago and gave every cent to his family. The article was saying he loved steakhouses but would never go. He loved strong coffee, but Starbucks was too expensive. He wanted to spend every cent that he earned sitting in that cab on his family, getting his kid into a good private school, paying the bills. No one has anything bad to say about Anis Tungekar. And so he's driving the cab. He's also 64 years old, looking a little frail, And so he, in 2018, is driving his cab in Chicago, and he gets into a verbal altercation with a guy named Lou, who is a Chinese guy. His name's Lou, L-U. He's 30. He's fit. And they're arguing about who cut who off. So it's a Pakistani guy and a Chinese guy arguing, you cut me off. I cut you off? No, you cut me off. Doing the whole, it happens every day. These drivers are in the car for 1,000,000 hours. It's bound to happen. And then we have footage of, so they're arguing. The 64-year-old Pakistani named Anis turns around and starts walking back to his car. The 30-year-old fit Lou, as he's walking away, this is all on camera, walks up to him and does a full-on, flying karate kick to the side of the head, immediately knocking Anis unconscious. He falls onto the pavement, hits his head again, and ends up dying in the hospital 2 days later. And there's a video, there's witnesses. They make the arrest, they turn it all in. They say, I think this guy's a flight risk. He might go back to China. And state prosecutor Kim Foxx doesn't charge the guy. And the guy, Lou, disappears and is gone. They think he's in China. And the chance for extradition once you're in China is very low. And the whole shit's in litigation, and, this happened in 2018. So not only, and it's coming, things are coming out now, like the records are sealed and everything, just sound familiar. And so things are starting to come out now, like the Tungekars are like, okay, well, we're not famous and we don't have any, Smollett type clout. But we want our records unsealed too. They're trying to kind of piggyback off of this, which I hope they do. And so not only is Kim Foxx dealing with the whole Smollett nightmare, just flushed my career down the toilet for a C-grade actor. She's also has a whole nother scandal, lawsuit, nightmare thing happening from 2018. So just a real lackluster career, a couple years for old Kim Foxx. I was laughing too. I couldn't help but laugh last night thinking about if that exact scene that happened between Lou and Anis, if that was being written for a show, that exact scene that happened in real life was whoever's idea it was to have Lou come and jump kung fu kick him would be probably called a racist. Imagine everyone sitting in a writer's room and they're coming up with this intense scene where, the good guy, the good family man gets assaulted. And they're sitting there all right, how should we do it? And one guy's like, hey, what if we made the Chinese guy walk up and do a jumping, flying kung fu thing? They'd be like, Seth, that's a little bit racist, okay? Not all Chinese people know kung fu, all right? It's a little bit stereotypical and just not really realistic. Seth's just all right, just an idea. Thought it'd be cool if he... But what a sad story. And I don't get, why not just charge him? Because if you charge him, when then we hold him, and if it turns out that the video and the witnesses are wrong and he gets off, then all right. Not the, at least there was attempt for justice. But the poor Tungekar family is just sitting there like, all right, well, he's gone. There's a video of him jump kicking our beloved Anis in the head, and Kim Foxx was like, nah, no charges at this time. Records are sealed. Thank you. I'm Kim Foxx. It's my style. And then not too much has happened with the Smollett special prosecutor. At least they haven't come out with anything. But a little Jussie update is his lawyer's strategy for getting the lawsuit dismissed recently is, ready for this? How was he supposed to know that they were going to spend that much money on the investigation? Huh? Oh, that's the strategy? Have you ever heard a more Smollett tactic than that? Just, yeah, even if he did do it, how was he supposed to know that they were going to investigate it? So, there you go. Have fun with that. Well, Jussie, if you report an insane hate crime that has nooses and racial slurs, they're going to investigate it. That's just the way. And if they didn't investigate it, he would have been out there saying, they didn't even investigate it because everybody hates me. And so he's not on Empire this season, and I've never watched Empire, but it came out last night that the way they handled his writing him out of the script was finally handled last night or the night before. And it was like I was reading about it. 2 characters are talking, and they're like, where is Jamal? Which is Jussie. And one of the characters goes like, oh, he's in London. He went to London. So, sorry, London. Sorry for my people in London. But the fictional Jussie Smollett is now in London. So, be prepared for a bizarre hate crime pending. Little Jennifer Dulos update. What a sad nightmare this is. So they recharged Fotis with more tampering with evidence, and also his girlfriend, and they arrested Fotis, and she turned herself in on the new charges. And an employee of Fotis has come forward and said Fotis borrowed his truck the night that Jennifer went missing, and that Fotis drove to the house where Jennifer was and then drove to a car wash and washed the seats. And then when he gave it back to his employee, he said, hey, he pressured him, they said, to have the seats replaced. Nothing sketchy about that. Hey, sorry, I borrowed your car last night. Would you mind having the seats replaced? Is that even a thing? Does anyone ever have their seats replaced in a car? That's a new sign where someone got murdered. It's like when someone goes missing and someone had pulled the sheets off the bed at 3 in the morning. Yeah, I did laundry at 4 a.m. I love doing my linens after midnight. Nothing sketchy about that. So Fotis wanted this guy to replace the seats in his truck. Imagine your boss saying that. Hey, can you go and replace the seats in your truck? Just like, no. No, I can't. That sounds crazy. Fotis. They need just a little bit of luck in that one. They need something like the Casey Anthony where someone's just walking around the forest or out fishing and just find Jennifer and they can charge him with murder. Because right now, I think they're desperately trying to find Jennifer or anything that they can charge him. And obviously Fotis's lawyer is going, let's do it. Charge him now. We're ready to go now. And the prosecution is probably just like, damn it. So they need a little bit of luck with that one. The last Jussie Smollett update, the Chappelle special had just come out, and I talked about how Norm got canceled from Fallon and kind of cancel culture. So recently, the Chappelle special came out, as most of you have seen it, got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics and 99% from the audience. And a million articles came out from websites being like, this was like watching a former great comedian slowly die in front of me or something. Just all these negative articles. But they didn't gain any ground. You can't cancel Dave Chappelle. He's an American treasure. And then, so I feel like the cancel culture, they came out and were like, he needs to go. Just like the drooling, bottom-feeding losers. Well, we'll get you, Chappelle. Well, they failed. And then SNL recently hired 3 new people. One of them is a comedian was named Shane Gillis. And I've never met Shane, and I've never seen his stand-up. YouTube keeps recommending me a video of his stand-up. I just haven't clicked on it yet. But Shane, so he gets hired from SNL, for SNL. And it's a nightmare to make enough money doing comedy to make a living, right? And anytime a comedian gets a job, it's almost a miracle. And especially something like SNL, and even if I totally disagree with a comedian's politics, or just I don't think that they're funny, or I don't like them, I always root for a comedian to get a good job, because it rarely ever happens. And really all comedians want to do is just make everybody laugh, make hard commutes easier, make hard days easier. And so the whole goal is just to make everybody laugh and try to live a comfortable life. And so Shane, this guy, gets a job for SNL, and the same losers that tried to get Chappelle and failed miserably were like, oh, this guy's not a made man. So they went through and searched everything he's ever done, and they found this podcast from, God, I don't know, years ago. And the thing with going and finding like an old podcast is, like, if I was Shane, I would have just tweeted like a screenshot of the analytics. I doubt that podcast I bet it got 1 view every 2 weeks or something. I bet it was doing nothing. And so they dig up this old podcast where he's telling a story about Chinatown, where he's doing an offensive Chinese accent. And it's like, I get it if you don't like offensive Chinese accents, but he was telling a story about Chinatown. So even if you don't like offensive Chinese accents, if you tell a story about Chinatown, you'll start doing one. Even if you're like, I promise I'll never do an offensive accent. Within 5 seconds of telling a story about Chinatown, you'll be doing a wildly offensive It's impossible not to. Even the Chinese people in Chinatown, I feel like, are doing offensive Chinese accents. It's Chinatown. But anyway, so they came in. He's not a made man, and they got him fired. They said, look at outrage. Ugh. And they canned him. And same cycle that always happens. So then they come out, they dig up some old tweet or something, and then the person gets fired, and then the comedy community and the people that aren't outraged and understand that, not everything that comedians say or attempt to be funny with, do they necessarily think is good or think worked or are happy they said. It's just sort of like a risk type thing. They kind of came to his defense, and I'm getting the feeling that he could probably kickflip this whole thing into a better career move than maybe even SNL. I think we're right on the line of it's going to start being, because SNL is not even a guaranteed great life. If you don't excel in that format where they have to get in there and write hilarious sketches every week. So it's like if you have a bad week or a bad 2 weeks where you're like, I don't know, I don't have any ideas. Why would I have a sketch idea? I tried to think of one, but I just don't have any for 2 weeks now. So if a couple weeks go by and you don't have any sketches, or you're not jiving, you could be there a season or two and then be done with no, it's not like just because you get hired for SNL, you're going to live a rich and famous life. And so even people that do well on SNL, you have to have a second act. You either transition to movies or get on some shows, or maybe if you really fall in love with stand-up, go on the road for that. But, it's not a guarantee. And so he gets fired and instantly gets all this publicity. And most of the comments that I was reading are pretty pro Shane, just being like, I don't know. Is anybody actually offended from what he said? What are we doing? And so I think that eventually these people that are just obsessed with getting people fired over an old tweet, I don't think they have much meaning in their life. And they think, okay, if I can get this guy fired for his offensive Chinese accent, then the Chinese people that are hypothetically offended, I will help them by getting this guy fired. And the funny thing about the whole thing is I think we're right on the point where if they get someone fired, it's going to actually help their career. And maybe even this Shane guy, because already, you see things like comedian loses job and there's like 10 million likes and everything and everyone's comments. So now everybody knows his name. You made this guy famous. They wanted this guy to have to go in a hole and died for one podcast where he was not funny. And it maybe have springboarded his career. I also read a thing from the South Park guys about the whole cancel culture thing that I really liked, about how he was saying that he doesn't even, all these like journalists and critics that come out like, this is such an offensive, terrible comedy special, that all of those, he doesn't even think it's their opinion. He thinks that they have to write that to keep their job at these shit website papers. Like the website goes, all right, you little riskless writer monkey, Chappelle special came out. It's offensive. It's real offensive, she'll tell you. So now's the time, the exact time. You need to go home and you need to write the opinion of this website. You go home and you sit there and you write out how what we're feeling about this. And so this person, and so the South Park guy was saying they might have thought that Chappelle special was hilarious. But they can't say that. They can't say this joke was really funny. I didn't like the Chinese impression. They have to go and sit there and pack out Jezebel's opinion, not even their own. So think about, you want to be a journalist, you want to make a difference, you want to shake things up, and then just your editor goes, all right, go, you know what to do. Get out of here. And the South Park guy was saying that he pictures these writers writing in a jail cell. They're sitting there writing a hostage note. And hearing that, I don't know, it helped me. I liked hearing that because I just don't get why. I just don't get the attempt to silence. It shouldn't, if you're a writer, just want everything to be fair game and let's see what happens. But I don't know. I'm going to cut it off there. I'm having a real crazy week, you guys, but it's looking like I am going to be making a move. So after 6 years of being in this apartment, looks like we'll be moving. Nothing like a mid-winter move to calm your nerves. So we're looking at places and stuff like that. But anyway, like I said, hope you're having a good week. I'll see you next time. Why? Stop and why?